Computer. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Australian Vintage Computer Collectors Zoom Catch-Up for October. Before I begin, I'd like to point out that this is being recorded so other people can view it online later. I'd like to welcome two new people tonight. And if you could just introduce yourself and tell us about what you do in the hobby and how long you've been doing it, that would be fantastic. And I'd like to start with you, Simi, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, fine. I'm originally Icelandic and migrated to Australia back in 1990. I worked in electronics and technical roles for IBM and then subsequently here for different organizations. Back in the 90s, it must have been early 90s, I got into contact with someone who was collecting vintage computers. And we sort of together started a collection. He had his own, I had mine, but we shared systems when we had too many systems. This went on for 2 or 3 years until I realized my space, that is my storage space, couldn't take anymore. Especially when I looked at his garage was so chock-a-block, there were alleyways within it. He had plastic black bags under his balcony. Every room in the house had stacks of computers. And I figured, I don't want to go down that path. So I ended up just storing most of it in a garage. Then when I retired from work back in 2016, I fled Sydney. I've never liked Sydney, too big, too many people. So I'm in regional New South Wales, about 300k north of Sydney. And we bought a house, and about a year ago, I finally built a shed, which I call the E-Cave, and I started brushing off all my collection. It's a lot of it is IBM, because I used to be an IBM hardware engineer. So I've got lots of a fair few PCs, XTs, ATs, and PS2s. Somewhere along the line, I got 5 Next systems as well, which are fairly rare. Turbo Station, black and white, and turbo color. I'm getting to those. And then I have an assortment of like the Tandy TRS-80 Model 1. I've got a compact C64. I got a Key Pro machine, which is CPM software, and some miscellaneous other things, even a few Macs, although I've never been an Apple fan. I've somehow ended up with a few Macs as well. So I'm now working through the collection, doing restoration. What I'm hoping to do sometime after this pandemic dies down, maybe next year or whatever, is to put my collection on show here in my local village.
Oh, wow.
And do that as a community thing, and a donation, gold coin donation or something like that, and I would give the money to some charity or the RFS. I'm a member of the RFS, our local brigade. So that's my sort of immediate future plans. One of the members here, Chris, he works for the computing center in Canberra. I don't know if you know, but I've come up with a program to do benchmarking, or I'm actually using an old program to do benchmarking. And I got them to do, or I asked them to do benchmarking on the super duper computer in Canberra so we could compare it. And I've taken some JavaScript, and I've actually got an online test URL you can run on your mobile phone, and it tells you how much faster your mobile phone is than an IBM PC. So but I've got to develop that. The idea behind that was if I have the show, people can scan the URL associated with the PC or whatever it is and compare their mobile phone with the device from the 70s and 80s. Anyway, that's my
Cool.
thing.
Oh, very good. And you didn't mention that you do the occasional YouTube video.
Yes, I've been doing YouTube videos since 2012. So I have a travel YouTube video using dash cams. I've been all over Australia, but I've got about 900 YouTube videos there. But I decided whilst I'm restoring this collection, I've started up a new YouTube channel called the E-Cave. And I'm sort of gradually putting stuff in there as I do more work on the old computers, because there's a lot of information out there, but sometimes there's a lack of, how should I say, how you diagnose or repair things, what to look for. So that's what I'm interested in.
Cool. Well, thank you, Simi. And also, Tony, would you mind telling us about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Tony Cruz. I have been into computers since I was a kid in the late 70s, early 80s. I used to hang around in Tandy stores and Dick Smith stores and play the Terrace 80s and the System 80s until they chucked me out. The first computer I bought at home was a TI 99-4, the one with the chiclet keyboard. I was supposed to get the advanced basic with it, but never did. So I wanted to program and write my own games, couldn't afford to buy any. So I started writing games for that and then sold that and bought a Spectre Video 318, the one with the rubber keyboard and the red joystick in the side, and started writing games for that. And also started the name Electric Adventures, which is my online persona, and wrote over 80 titles for the original Spectre Video, converted them across to the MSX, sold them for the MSX, took over the Australian Computer Forum magazine, mainly as I like writing articles, but also it was a good avenue to continue to sell my software. I got into Atari 8-bits as well, and then went to the 16-bits. Bought an Amiga 500, was my first Amiga. I only had it a month because I got a bad drive, bad mouse. They didn't have any stock, so I had to take it back. And then I bought an Atari ST from the shop I work for, which was Let's Play Games in Tasmania. And had Atari STs for quite a while, then got into PCs, then got into the computer industry as a programmer. Obviously databases and stuff, went through all the manner of things. And that's what I do as a job now, look after a team of programmers for a mineral company in Australia. But probably about 20 years ago, my friend, who also had a bit of collection, showed up at my place, and he had the Atari 2600 we used to play as kids, and said, here, you enjoyed this just as much as me. I don't want to take it interstate, here. And it got me to get my stuff out of storage. So I kept most of my old computers, and then I started collecting and, oh, that's nice, I'll buy that. So I've got over 120 systems. I have just about every model of the Atari 8-bits. I have a large number of MSX machines, and I have a sort of a TI 99XX collection. So anything that uses that graphics chip, I pretty much have every single computer that falls under that. But I've also got Apples. There's an Apple IIe sitting here. I've got most of the models of the Amigas and the Atari ST. I don't have the later models of Atari ST because I sold those back in the day. And I have, some would say, a reasonably large selection of software for all of that. I do some electronics repair when I get time, but I suffer from having far too many hobbies. I still program and release games for the 8-bits. So I've released a couple of titles for the ColecoVision, and I've been backporting them to the MSX and the original Spectre Video.
Oh, wow, cool.
So still active. And yes, far too many hobbies, as I'm sure all you guys have. You've always will probably have a huge list of stuff you always want to do.
I think you're in a good company here. The issue I think all of us have is we like the retro computers, and when you like lots of retro computers, you then have lots of projects and lots of hobbies, and it's a never-ending cycle.
I'm lucky that a large percentage of mine are working. There are a couple of normal projects, also like arcade machines as well. That's probably where the largest number of projects are.
I noticed you looked to the left in your room. Is that because you stared at an arcade machine? Holy moly. Oh, what a great setup. Oh, what a great setup.
It's a big space.
Yeah, that's great. That's really great.
So
very good.
So that white cabinet behind me here has most of the old retro computers in it, plus besides the one that is set up underneath me here, all plugged in with switches and stuff, so I can switch between machines.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Well, great to meet you, Tony. All right. So after we do this, so what we're going to do is we'll just go around and talk about what we've been doing for the last month, and I'll tell you what I've been doing. I've wrote some notes because it's hard to keep track of what you're doing. So the first thing was it was pointed out to me about a couple of weeks ago that the Mega 65 is available for shipping. For those who don't know, that is the modern reproduction of the Commodore 65, the highly successful console that I'm sure you've used. Commodore was very bad at this marketing. They made 20 and then went bankrupt. Anyway, that particular model is available for sale. I know there's 2 on this chat who have pre-ordered them, so I got him to do that. Oh, 3. There's 3 of us.
I caved, and like I was a bit hesitant at first, but I caved. So I'm in that second 1,000 batch. But
oh, you're in the second 1,000. Okay. Yeah. What's great is I think Australia is well represented in the Commodore and the Mega 65. And it's got you'll have to tell me more about the Mr. Capabilities that they're talking about with this, because I'm not up to, I don't really understand that. I've repaired a heap of Commodore 64s. I have this pile of Commodore 64s that are underneath my bench that I've always considered dead. So I decided I was going to pull the dead pile out and actually go through it. I found 6 working ones in the dead pile. So that was a great win. So got them going. I got a brand new Intellivision cartridge called Frankenstein's Monster. So it's a homebrew title, which is excellent. Unfortunately, it didn't come with a box. Thanks to David here. He sent me a brand new 6525 triport interface adapter. Is it a 6525? I think it is. 25. And I got my Magic Voice finally working. That's not been working for many years. So for those who don't know, it's the Commodore speech synthesizer that comes complete with about 390 words it can say, and it can't do any more.
No, it could play 2 games.
Oh yes, and Wizard of War and something else. But here are all the words you can use if it's not in that list. And I got to say, Commodore is one of the words because we use that every day. So I got that going. Thanks to Rob, I bought this book and received it. So this is a book that was written by an Australian, Melanie Swalwell, who documented homebrew gaming in Australia. So that arrived. And last but not least, I was talking before this started. I've been scanning some documents. In December last year, I told Phil Gurney, the former president of the Queensland Commodore Computer Users Group, that I would archive their entire users group newsletters from 1981 to 1997. And this is the last one left to scan. So, so I knuckled down in my retro challenge, and I've still got 20 days of the month left, and I've got just 1 to scan. So
you're going to get bored.
What am I going to do first? I've decided I'm going to have to do something else because it's a pretty pathetic challenge if you can knock it over in 10 days. But I was highly motivated. And that's, other than repairing computers and recapping them, I've done very little. So I'm going to pass it on to the next volunteer. What have you been doing? If not, okay, there you go. Go, Anthony.
Hi, everybody. I haven't actually done too much. Thanks to Henry, I got in contact with and I've placed an order for an Amiga 1200 from him. So hopefully that will come through. I was umming and ahhing for quite a while on whether or not I needed a 1200, and I don't, but but I want. So it's as simple as that. And you should have seen my wife's face when I paid for it, and she goes, "You did what?" And I said, "Oh, look, it's my childhood, you know."
How much?
I only just got the basic machine, nothing else with it. I think it was $8.50.
Bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, compared to what I was looking at, I mean, I was even looking on eBay via the UK, and the cheapest I saw there was around about the 1200 plus shipping, which was another $100-200 on top. I'm getting it for $8.50, including shipping.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So mouse power supply.
Mouse, power supply, and recapped.
Oh great.
With I asked him if he said you can either have a GoTech or an SD card, and I said, look, I've got a GoTech, so can I get the SD card? So it hasn't arrived yet. Last communications he said it was should be ready. He should be getting it and it's supposed to be really good condition next week. So I'll just keep on top of it from there. But it scared the living shit out of me, excuse the language. Never bought anything that expensive from overseas before, if you know what I mean. And I've heard some good things about Marvin, so I said, look, if I get ripped off, I get ripped off, and I'm going to be pretty upset over it. But his reputation is there, so let's just see how it goes. And I'll end up getting an Amiga 1200. Don't know what the hell I'm going to do with it. Because it's just going to sit on the desk, and I'm just going to marvel at it and say, well, you know what? I've owned two Amigas, a 500 and a 1200, and I'd love a 3000, that's for sure, because I just love the look of it. But I should really calm the farm and play with the toys, and he just got the 500, only got a 2GS, and now seeking some more money to a 1200. So yeah, that's what I've done. It hasn't been too much. I did back that RMC multimedia system in the group buy, but the group buy fell through because with all the with the tax and everything like that, and GST that's going to come on board, it was going to be more expensive. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just go and order it myself. And then in the end, I sort of sat there with hover, the finger over the mouse button to click buy, and I said, nah, I'm going to hold off. This thing is just brand new. I'm not in a rush. I've got my Mister, and it's working. So this new case is going to be great, and the new board's going to be great. But my Mister is still working, so I'm not missing out on anything. So that's me in a nutshell for the last month.
Awesome. Thanks, Anthony. Next volunteer. Yep, go.
Okay, so I had a pile of projects last meeting. You may recall on the Facebook group, a motherboard was offered for basically the cost of shipping on the group, an M571 that never quite worked right. It's currently running. This is gonna be it.
What is that on? Is that on an ironing board?
Yeah, it's sitting on a little baby ironing board, but I've put a piece of chipboard underneath it to make sure it doesn't short out. So I'm being responsible in my complete irresponsibility.
Oh, I like it. I like it very much.
But yeah, after being recapped, having its voltage regulator replaced, I'm not sure what the original part was, but it was woefully out of spec. It's working quite nicely. I'm looking to make it a nice new little Windows 98 machine as soon as I get this K62 to work on it, which is the thing I'll be doing while I'm listening and chatting with you guys tonight, hopefully.
Oh, great.
But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Cool. Really good. I'm going to call on you, David, because you're just staring right at me. Go, David.
Okay, yeah, I put my hand up. I got in the first batch of the Mega 65. So pretty excited about that. doing a bit of beta testing as well. Got contacted out of the blue after expressing interest in a product that someone was developing, and it's a VGA cartridge for a VIC-20. So you basically plug in your cartridge and you get VGA and audio, for that matter, out of it. So just playing around with that at the moment, and got some more VIC-20 stuff in. But aside from that, it's been pretty. Just repairs, fixing. Had a Amiga 1060 sidecar for an Amiga 1000 with a blown power supply, so I had to fix that as well.
Cool.
And it was actually easy to replace the whole power supply because it was just completely shot. But yeah, aside from that, too much work, not enough play has been my month, unfortunately.
Hey, Dave, that VIC-20 VGA audio outboard.
Yep.
I'm asking out of complete ignorance. If you put that clearly doesn't have an extra cartridge port on it. So if you put a penultimate cartridge in it, it wouldn't run because there's nowhere to put it. But could you put it in like in a slot expander and use it on the bus?
I think that's part of the reason why I've been asked to test this, because I've got a 1010 and a 1020 slot expander, so I can actually check that.
I like how the iron is on the ironing board.
But yeah, no, that's, and I mean, look, it's going to be a little bit tricky too, because not all the address lines to the CPU are actually available through the cartridge port. So you've actually got to jack in a couple of wires. So you actually can get all the signals from the VIC, but you know, it's still work in progress. The only downside that I see is the FPGA module on there is it's a $70 $70 US module. So mind you, there's nothing much else on the board. There's a couple of passives, and it's got an inbuilt RAM expansion on the back.
Oh wow! Okay, so you don't need any of those fancy cartridges. It practically has got everything you need on it.
Yeah, I think yeah, pretty much. I mean, if he wanted to, I'm going to suggest it to the guy. I'm going to say, you know, mount a like an SD to IEC or something like that on there as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And then yeah, it's everything. You don't even need to unplug it then. And I'm just not sure if I don't know if you can run cartridge images from an SD to IEC. I can't remember.
I think there are some games that have been converted, but
right.
But you've got to deal with some of them. Like check to see if where the cartridge is mapped as RAM, and if it's RAM, it's like copy protection and it will fail.
Yep.
And then you've got to remember some of them are dumps are like because of the 2 points when they come in, you've got like 2 separate ROM files that need to be loaded in.
Yes.
So a whole bunch of stuff like that. So
I think the big thing with this one, and like I said, this is literally he got the boards about 10 days ago. You know, if we could find a way to, because there's so much software that's on cartridge with the VIC-20, if we could actually, you know, have something that can actually do cartridge emulation as well, that would just be hitting a bloody bit. So,
yeah, you wouldn't have multiple cartridges. Yeah.
Exactly. You could just have a 1 or 2 SD cards if you put an SD to IEC on there as well, and it would just do everything. So
make the cost more justifiable too.
But exactly, because I mean the cost of an SD to IEC is 3 parts of nothing. Yeah, and even if you wanted to have some of the old tape games, you could put a Tapuino on there as well. I mean, you can build them up for about $20. You know, but I mean, then it just starts getting a bit messy. But like I said, we're just messing around with it, checking different board revisions, how they work, PAL versus NTSC, the 4 different PCB builds they did with the VIC, and we'll just see how it goes.
Cool. Thanks, David.
That's right.
Stuart, What are you doing?
Not much. The month's gone so fast. I've just been mucking around with my IMSI with some graphics cards I got on my IMSI. Getting them running. That's about it. So I've got a whole. I've actually got 2 graphics cards on my IMSI. I've got one that's text only, so 80 by 25 or 40 by 12, and another one that's a whopping 512 by 128 pixels.
That's a interesting ratio.
It is yes, and it must skip every second line, so it's more. It looks more like 512 by 256.
Okay.
But hey,
Okay.
1976, so they didn't have much back then.
So Stuart, is there software that supports those graphic modes, like anything that?
Well, I mean, look, when the IMSI and the Alto came out, I mean, they only really had basic, and then they had CPM.
Yeah.
You know, so there might be one of them has the text mode one has you know, has the ability to like use that as a terminal, but the graphics card I don't know as yet. The particular card I got a project I wanted to do, sort of like put as many graphics cards as I can in the thing. And I found this Spectre graphics card. There's basically it's an 8K RAM card, and then originally, and then they piggybacked on top of that a card that would like use that RAM, but output it to a screen. So to be honest, apart from maybe a single page document on the internet, I have no idea if there was ever any programs for it. But you know, something I want to investigate. It'd be nice to like, you know, kind of original program if possible. But yeah, at the moment, I'm just what I actually did is I thought, how can I get some graphics on there? So I thought, oh, I'll make a BMP file, and then I'll save it as in Paintbrush to like, you know, black and white, so 2 colors. And then I had a look on the internet to where the header information was and stripped off that. And I was able to load that information into RAM and get an image coming up correctly. So which is pretty cool.
On your IMSI?
Yeah.
Do you have a photo of the output?
I do.
Cool.
It's just on my phone. So
that's pretty neat. That is pretty neat. What was the picture of? I hope it's suitable for all audiences.
Yes, it is. No, it's so what I'm trying to do is I'm a bit of an Alien fan, the movie Alien. So
yeah.
There's a startup scene in Alien where they have the computer come into life, and I'm making like a replica of that. So I thought to myself, well, I have to be able to see if I can replicate the graphics on hardware that was not made after 1979. So that's quite challenging. But yeah, so this is a picture of it on I output of it. It's composite, but it's going to be washed out.
I saw it for a split second.
You know what? Maybe I can share my screen. I don't know.
Do you have that as an image? Because what you can do is if you put it on your computer, I can turn on screen sharing and you can show it to us. Yeah, okay, so that's now turned on. So you can now share your screen.
I better be careful what I share then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not your browser history, I hope.
One good one. Yeah, because it's not that easy to take a photo of a CRT, as you know. So unless you got the right equipment.
Here we go. Oh wow. Okay. So the graphics mode is actually pretty good.
Those bytes there are fixed up. That was something in the RAM, but yeah. So drama. Yeah, but anyway, so that's just it's 512 across, by like I said, by 128, which is pretty low. There's a few other ones that exist that are out there. There's a thing called a Dazzler, which I think is in color, which is I think one of the first color graphics cards for a computer. But as you can imagine, one of the first of anything is quite expensive. So I haven't even seen one for sale lately.
And I think the Dazzler can like handle 128 by 128 on NTSC, and that's it.
Yeah, but
it's got micro. If you want color,
it's got color, so it's got one up on me.
Goes down to 64 by 64 in color.
Oh, there you go, even lower. Yeah.
So less than a desktop icon today.
Yes, and you could connect up if you had a Cyclops video capture camera. They actually they got a RAM chip, I think it was, and they pulled the cover off the RAM chip. And when
it's a 1K RAM chip.
Yeah, 1K RAM chip, and they cut the lid off the RAM chip, and they worked out that if light was exposed to the cells of the RAM, it would work like a CCD. So one of the first, or if not the first, commercial digital camera was made from a 1K RAM chip and run on like an IMSI or an Altair. So I'm looking for one of those, but I'm sure I'd pay thousands for one if I find one. So
there is somebody who's done a full reproduction kit, but you have to source your own 1K RAM chip.
Yeah, okay. And then cut the lid off and hope you don't destroy it in the process.
Oh, it's only really pulling the sticker off the.
Yeah, I might look, considering the cost of these things to get an original one, which I really like to have, are probably unobtainable. I mean, even if I have the money to get it, it's like then these things are hard to find full stop. But you never know. So anyway, that's pretty much all. Because I bought a card. Actually, I bought a card for the IMSI 2, which is it does RAM, ROM, and floppy disk controller and a floppy disk emulator. So what it means is, because I'm trying to get old 8-inch floppies and 5¼ floppies and all that working, and I've got old controllers and all that sort of stuff. If something doesn't work, it makes it really hard to know what's wrong. So with this emulator, you can, it's a bit like a GoTech in a way, but in this case, there is no, floppy interface to a GoTech. It's a serial port and then a server on your computer, some software that emulates a floppy disk. So that way you can put a disk file on your computer, and amazingly enough, your serial ports can go up to like 400 kilobaud or something, which is about as fast as what a floppy is anyway. So that way you can load images through there. So I haven't tried that as yet. That's a board that's been manufactured by a guy in America. So, a board made in the last couple of years for a 70s computer, which is good to see. So some more fun. Other than that, about it.
Awesome. Now I've skipped over him. Mav, tell us what you've been doing.
Hey guys, how you going? You can hear me okay?
Yeah, perfectly.
Yeah. All right. I've been doing as little as possible. No, I've been envious of all you guys who managed to spot things on Facebook Marketplace and get to them. As everyone knows, if there's a good deal on there, you've got to drop everything and go. You can't waste any time. And so recently, well, Thursday actually, while I was eating dinner, something popped up within my 15 kilometers, just about, only 18 kilometers. A guy clearing out his garage put up 10 disc boxes, the lockable boxes that hold 100 discs each. And it had pictures of them. They had discs in them. And I think I got in at about the 17-minute mark and said, I can be there in 30 minutes. Didn't want anything for them. They just said, come and take them. And the way I read the ad, it sounded like it was just the boxes, not the discs. So, and I got there and the boxes were there waiting for me on his front porch, and there's no discs in them. So, okay, well, I'll take them anyway, because disc boxes are good. They all came with the keys. And then he came out and talked to me. He goes, did you want the discs? And I said, yeah, actually, I'm in retro computers. I need as many discs as I can, because every time I format 10 of them, I have to throw 5 away. So it's just the way of old computers. So I hit the mother load. I must have picked up about 2,000 discs in probably equal numbers of 5 1/4s and 3 1/2s. The 3 1/2s are nothing particularly interesting, because he'd moved over to PCs by then, so it's all just 720 1.44s with regular DOS apps. But prior to moving to PCs, he was all into his Commodore 8-bit stuff. So it's got this massive amount of discs and a few little pieces of hardware there for the 64 and 128 and some discs there for a B128 B series Commodore, which I knew nothing much about. I probably have heard of it, but so I'm sort of been sorting through the discs all day and looking at what I can throw up on eBay and what ones are just user data which can be reformatted and reused. And yeah, so I actually had a lot of fun with that. So that was what was quite interesting about it. It was that clearly on where he'd addressed things, he lived for some time up until the mid-90s in California, and so a lot of that's what that is. Okay, I've never seen one of them in real life. Anthony, thank you. Have you got software for them, or is it very hard to find?
What's interesting is you can get some software online, and you can image them and run them on the machines, but it would be interesting if what you have is online.
Yeah, I would say that what I've got is probably pretty pedestrian stuff. What
I would ask is if you could just run it past me and I could do some searches and if we could image it before it goes to the highest bidder.
So far I've found the usual staples like Superbase, database software.
Yep.
EasyScript 2 for B series. And I've got a disk here. I just grabbed one here. Probably hard to read.
Looks printed.
Yeah, it's done on a dot matrix. I'll read it to you. B128 Utilities 2 disk. B128 Users Group 701 East North Avenue, Suite C, Lompoc, California, and the postcode. So
neat.
I don't know what that is, but I'm going to guess that there was probably a B series user group, and that might have been one of their discs. So I've got to have a look through the others more carefully and see what's there. There's also lots of really weird games and things I've never heard of. Maybe this is a common one, but I've never heard of Harvey Wallbanger Booty. You know, yep. for the 64 Lodestar, 8,1, of course. But what came in it was two American modems came in with it, a 300 and a 1200 board, Commodore 64 modems.
Hang on, from the disc guy.
From the same guy, yeah.
So the guy who you collected disc boxes from, you got boxed Commodore hardware from.
Yeah.
For free.
Yeah.
Oh, what a deal. I tell you what, that was a 17 minutes of pure awesomeness. Well done.
Yeah. And I got an email from him before saying that he's finished the cleanup of his place. He gave me a list of what else he's found, but none of it is really 8-bit stuff. It's all kind of
9 Commodore pets.
No, unfortunately.
4 SX64s, brand new in box, never used.
It would be. It certainly would be a find of the century, wouldn't it? So I'm going back. So I'm going back there on Tuesday to collect the rest of the stuff that he wants to get rid of. So the least I can do saves him a trip to e-waste to get rid of.
Yeah, you're practically a guardian angel.
I know, right? So since I can't read these, so I'm going to go through them and see what other discs are marked relevant to the B128. I may as well send them all to you and get you.
If you could, I'll send them back.
In case.
I'll send them right back because you could, that way you can get value out of them. But I would love to image them first, and then I'll send back to you.
Yeah. Is there any actual site that has a list of what's currently?
Yeah, Bo Zimmerman would probably have the largest archive. So zimmers.net.
Okay.
Place to go.
Cool. So do they have built-in disk drives, those machines, or do they?
No, this is the trick. So it's either going to be a 4040 It's going to be in one of 3 formats.
Yeah.
So it's either going to be an 80-50, an 8-250, or a 40-40, or it could be some kind of weird 1541 that's attached to some kind of interface card that we don't know about. So it'll be interesting. It'll be so it's been one of 4 formats. So we're just going to figure out what format it is.
I was going to say the 40-40 and the 1541 are basically compatible
Similar.
anyway.
Yeah, very similar. Very
Yeah.
similar.
One of the discs I've got, I've put it aside. I can't find it at this moment. It has 80-50 written on it. So
Oh yeah. Okay.
it probably used his B series with an 80-50.
Cool.
That's a Commodore PET dual drive, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Up in the back there, mate.
One of them. Yep. Computer in a drive.
Yep.
There's 2 CPUs in most of those.
Cool. So that's basically what I found. I mean, I got a bunch of other. I got some PC stuff off him and other stuff, but yeah, it was good to find these things.
Yeah, that was a real find. That was a real find.
So there might be some real stuff collectible worth archiving there, which I don't mind. I don't mind doing.
Yeah, cool, great. Was there? Did he give you any paperwork or any documentation that might be interesting? Or
there's like reams of photocopied service manuals, but I think they're ones that are already common, like the VIC 1541 drive and the service manuals for the bread bin 64, and I would imagine they're all pretty well, sourced, scanned, and uploaded already. Nothing sort of bounced out at me. But
if you're just going to pitch them, I'll take them off your hands.
Actually, you probably can, because there's not much I want to do with them other than not throw them out. So maybe when our paths cross, when we can start doing computer swap meets again, I'll just bring them along. You can tell me if you want them.
Yeah, cool.
Because I know that at least you won't destroy them. You'll just add them to the pile.
Oh, very good. That's very productive, Ian.
All right, guys.
All right, where are we now, Rob?
I'm going to be a hard act to follow, because definitely nothing as exciting as that. For me, it's really 3 things. First, I managed to nab a couple of my white whales for the software stuff I wanted to get. I got a copy of the Apple II original version of Wings of Fury, which I've been wanting to hunt down for ages, because it's honestly the most affordable copy of the game. The 64 version was really hard to find. I've only ever seen it once, and that was an NTSC release, and that won't boot on a PAL machine. And I've never seen a PAL copy out there, even though allegedly it was at least reviewed in UK publications. And the Amiga version is listed for stupid money. This was reasonable. So that's something I'm eventually going to sit down and try and do coverage for on the channel. And speaking of that, my just went up last night was a video looking at Reach for the Stars, an Australian-produced 4X strategy game by SSG. Because this week is the tail end. That's coming to the end of Melbourne International Games Week. I usually try to do an Australian-produced game on the channel to sort of highlight, Australia's rich gaming history. So that went up last night. It's a very dry game, but it was one I was very, very happy to put together. I could throw that in chat. And the other thing is I had some spare time and I got started doing something I really wanted to do for ages. And that is following the tutorial videos that were being put out for the Spectrum Next. I've been wanting to do that ever since mine arrived last year. And those videos started coming out. And so I've just started following those, just tinkering around. Haven't actually started trying to write anything yet. I want to get a little further along in the series. And these videos are like 3 to 4 hours each. They're streams of one of the people in the team, a legendary Specky Games coder by the name of Jim Bagley, and he's just running through stuff on an emulator, so some of the stuff I'd just done was a little following along was in the last one was a little basic program that reads the keyboard and then translated that into machine code to Z80 assembler to read the keyboard and just move a little line plotting around the screen. So that's like 2 out of 18 parts, and eventually you do get to actually writing a game. And I'm trying to get some time to carve more of that series out and hopefully actually try to get to writing something little on the next at some point. maybe Christmas holidays or something.
So
That's-
it's a big time commitment, 3 or 4 hours on a video. And
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
time commitment.
Like it's sort of like Sunday afternoon, just sit down and do it. I kind of wish they were. I kind of wish that that they were sort of cut up and streamlined down and made into something that was a little less of a little less of a commitment to watch, because it's good following along with them, because it's sort of like you get the thought process. But one of the things that's funny is, like, I'm using a slightly newer version of the assembler kit and pardon me, some of the other tools, and there was a bug in them in the version that was used in the video that had been fixed in the version that I was running from. So I've sat there and punched this assembler listing and run it, and it's done what it's needed to do. But I've sat down watching the video, it's like, okay, there's a problem there that I'm not having. How long is this going to be? So it starts like raw and unrefined, and I kind of wish that, yeah, they'd been squished up and edited to be a little cleaner. But it's been really interesting just following the learning process, because like I have a bit of 6502 knowledge from when I was a kid, and I wrote a really bad game for the 64. I have to dig that up out of GameBase if you want to have a look at it. So I've had no Z80 experience. So I'm sort of like learning that and trying to just understand how you put it all together. And again, I'm being excited by the next for that. And I admit, when the Mega 65 arrives, I'm probably going to play around with that as well, sort of do the same thing. Definitely not going to be the most exciting things because I suck at art. But yeah, it's been nice to just to write some code that isn't for my C# code in Unity for my day job. So that's been fun for a bit.
Oh, very good. Very good. David, you're next in line. What have you been doing? You are not muted, but you have no audio. I would say that you've got a Zoom selected your other microphone option setting. No pressure. If you'd like, I can move to the next person if you would like something. Oh, no. Try that again, David. Yeah, there's no words. So I'm going to bounce from David and come back to him and go to Murray. So Murray, what are you doing?
Well, yeah, I've got, I'd say zero limited expertise in programming and fixing physical repairs. So for the retro challenge, I decided I would do some scanning as well.
Oh, good.
And we were donated, I think, half a dozen Osborne 1 computers to the ACMS. And I have a stack of Oz News newsletters. I don't think I'm going to get them done by the end of October, because while cleaning out a garage, I found that I had a stack of
great.
These ones as well, Canberra Micro 8 newsletter. So, yes, a lot of scanning, a lot of cleaning up because they're crappy scans. And I went and splurged on this.
Oh, nice. I approve.
So I'm looking for MSX software.
Oh, I don't know where you might be able to get some of that from.
Yeah, I was very interested. I have cartridges, and it comes with a tape drive. And the previous owner, some idiot, has broken a piece inside for the eject button.
Oh no!
So he drilled a hole.
Yeah.
And put in a little pin. And when you pull the pin out far enough, it pops open. Yeah. The piece that broke was loose inside it. But it did come with
that one.
One cassette tape.
Oh, I thought that was a cartridge.
No, it's a giant box with a cassette tape in it.
Beautiful.
Number 4. And it arrived after about 3 or 4 days from Japan.
Oh, wow, that's good.
So it's amazing shipping. Yeah,
all up about $400. He wanted a bit more than that for it, and I offered him a price, and he took it. So I thought, okay, now I'm going to have to pay for it. And then, of course, he promptly put up another one.
Oh,
As the last one, but no software with that. And there are a few others on the Japanese eBay at the moment.
can you tell me, because I couldn't read that.
Yeah.
It's obviously an MSX. What is that?
Oh, okay. It's a
An MBH2.
Hitachi, yes,
Yeah.
MBH2.
Cool.
I have 3 of the MBH1s, and there's a couple of H3s, which are the MX2 version on eBay at the moment. One's going for $1,000 and the other one's for about $100. So the $1,000 one says it's super rare.
As they do.
And then another one pops up on the same eBay site.
Yeah, if
for
you,
a
if
tenth
you
of
want,
the price.
if you want an MSX2, you're better off buying one from Europe.
Europe.
A Philips NMS 8250 or something.
Oh, okay. The obsession, I'll probably call it that, started with the Hitachi Peach.
Ah, so you like Hitachi stuff, yeah.
Well, I saw it in a shop here in Sydney a few years ago and thought, WTF, what the fuck is that? Never seen one before. Get out the phone, do a little bit of Googling. Google doesn't seem to know much about it either. So I bought that one, and along the way, I've picked up 3 more. So I've got 3 of the MB6890s, I think they're called, Peach, and yeah, another friend in Sydney used to live in Japan, so he went and helped me purchase a ridiculous number of other Hitachi machines. Oh, I've got another one here.
Here's one I prepared earlier.
Yeah. The B16 LXS.
Is that a PC of some kind?
Yeah, I think it's
Yes, it would be an IBM type. Oh, how does it? Oh, there we go.
Huh.
It's
There you go.
gorgeous.
Well, floppy drives and a screen. No battery, so it's not a portable as such. Well, it is portable, but need a PowerPoint.
That's very convenient these days because you're never going to get a battery for it these days. I don't think Hitachi's got a
Well, no, one of the ones that I did manage to get is over at Croydon at the moment, and the battery had leaked inside it badly.
Yeah, that's
So
never.
that's a future repair job for somebody, not me. And tomorrow, well, as of midnight tonight, I can leave home.
Oh, that's
So I could,
that's exciting.
yeah, I can go over to the museum and see what's been happening. I haven't been there for 3 months, 4 months.
Yeah.
So that will be fun.
Don't talk to us Victorians about lockdowns.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, God.
Yeah, yours is really bad at the moment.
I'm going to stay quiet. I'm from Tassie.
Yeah.
So what are you going to accomplish for your retro challenge? Are you going to get through all those magazines? What was your goal? What was your goal in your retro challenge?
Yeah, that was the goal, to do all of the.
And you're giving up already on the 10th of the month.
On the Osborne. Well,
on that one, you're going to do that one newsletter for the month.
No, the whole, as many as I had, and I don't have every issue yet. What do I do with that list?
Oh, wow. Okay, so you've given yourself a really big challenge. You actually haven't actually capped it, because otherwise it's just too hard.
Well, yeah, but
I figured I could do 3 or 4 a day, and then I just went a little bit nuts and just thought I'm going to get the whole month done in 7 days.
It's not, the whole challenge is not necessarily about completing it, it's about doing something. So
yeah.
I had already done.
That doesn't work for me, Murray. Doesn't work for me.
I've already done
I
half a
have to
dozen
complete
of
it.
them.
I have to complete it because if I'm going to say that I'm going to do something, I have to do it. So that's the issue that I have with these challenges. And I've got to question whether I'll do it again because I'm just like, I said it, people are looking at me, I'm going to do it. So
Yeah, the Canberra Micro users group's interesting because a few of the pages have lists of names and addresses.
Oh, wow.
Of all the members. So
Cool.
I don't know whether any of them will be around or not. But I did find people, I managed to contact some people from a High Touchy Peach newsletter I found at Villawood when we're moving out. It's based in Sydney, and found a guy in Adelaide.
It's kind of scary when you use that, you scan this stuff in, you're like, okay, righto. So this one, say 40 years old, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I gotta contact these people. I hope that they were 20 when this was released.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Because if they weren't, they're not likely around anymore. Because I mean, like the presidents and stuff, I mean, they'd be 80, 90 years old. You know, yeah, I don't know if they'd really be interested in talking to me about the times in the Commodore computer users group and the political upheaval.
Well, there is that because I also found a couple of documents from I don't know how you pronounce it, DECUS from the DEC Computers user group. And here's the list. I thought, oh, I know that name. He's distantly related by marriage to my wife. So I rang him up and had a chat, but he's in his 80s and he's not interested anymore. Yeah, so they had 11 volumes of this magazine, and I've got, I think, all of 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 11. There are only 2 issues in 11, so that's an easy one.
Yeah, that's quite the challenge.
Yeah. There's a lot. I figured if I do half a dozen a day, I might even finish it. But at the moment, it's not going to happen. So I'll just continue it throughout the year. And the other thing I'd like to do when I get the complete issues scanned, I've been doing some bookbinding with another group for another project I've got, not computer related, and I can bind the volumes up into one book, and then we can have them in our library.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, so that's about where we're at the moment.
Cool. Now, David, I'm going to go back to you. Does your microphone work?
I hope so.
Yes. All right, here we go.
Now,
Looked at one of my 27 like possible input ports last time. Yeah, random. What have I been doing? Well, this weekend I built, finally got to build that, the Vicky 20, which was
I haven't finished mine yet.
I got all the bits in the mail finally. That's it, I'm gonna build it. So we got that running. So that was it's pretty awesome when you build a computer over a weekend.
It's really a great sense of accomplishment when it turns on and works.
Yeah, it did first time.
Awesome.
It's even better. Didn't have to go back and find all the bits I did wrong, which was kind of nice.
Is it all through Hull?
Yeah, it's all through Hull.
Oh, sweet.
All through Hull. So it's kind of like a replica of the cost reduced version. Well, it pretty much is a replica of the cost reduced version of the VIC 20, but with a couple of changes to fix up some issues, and a couple of other bits like mounting holes that are missing, one or two, like a mounting hole that was missing, which is a bit frustrating. But anyway, it's good. So I've got that in the case now, and that's working. Ready to load games and things on eventually when I get an SD to SD, SD card thing on it. But so it's sort of, yeah, I've got a data set at the moment, which is great.
How do you not have anything better than a data set?
I only just started doing the Commodore stuff because I've been doing the game with Dave, and I hadn't actually got any interest in the Commodore stuff up until like the last couple of months.
Oh, okay, because you were a Sinclair, is that right? You were yeah. So you ported Tut to the 20, or
yeah. Well, we have now. It's actually there it is. Oh no, there it is. That's the that looks like a big 20. Actually, hang on, I'll load it up.
Now, do you have any ability to sell it in Australia? Or do we have to buy it from the UK?
No, I think you have to buy it from the UK. So, yeah, at this stage. So Dave's they're doing a whole bunch of stuff at the moment to get some new kits and things out. As far as I know.
And is he going to sell this on a cart or as a tape?
No, it's going to come out on a cart and possibly a tape. So it could be both. It's going to be a pretty special release actually. This one should come with a poster and a rather unique, some unique packaging.
Oh, cool.
So that'll be good. Yeah, so that's yeah, it's been pretty exciting. So I did an extra. So we put this together. This is like the near final version. There's a few bugs left in it to get ironed out. But I put an extra 5 levels into this one than there were on the ZX Spectrum version. So I think there's 45 levels or something to get through now. So it's a bit of a challenge.
Oh, very good. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's good. So yeah, looking forward to that coming out. Other than that, sort of started doing the ZX81 stuff again, trying to write the next game for that. But all I've got is a loading. It's kind of like a loading, the level loader ready. So
this is a game for the ZX81.
Yeah, it will be. This, yeah, as I said, I've just got the level loader going at the moment. But yeah, so it's kind of a cross. But I guess the best way to describe it's going to be like a kind of a cross between Impossible Mission and Bruce Lee.
So this is just I don't know what you would call it in Sinclair. It's clearly text mode graphics, I'm guessing. And are these? Does it have like a Petsky style character set?
Not really. No, it's just, yeah. I guess it's got the block characters and a couple of like semi-shaded characters. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Nothing Petsky as good as Petsky, but yeah, it's kind of what makes them interesting is to try and push it to make it look like something. So, yeah, so that's kind of where I've been.
You need the RAM expansion to run that game.
Which one?
That one.
Spectrum. Yeah, you need a 16K. Okay.
And will it work on a Timex as well? For the...
Yeah. Absolutely. Might be a bit slower on a Timex.
Well, I've got a at least I have a ZX81 that can play it. So when it gets released, David.
So I don't know when that. So I only just started that one. So yeah, it took a while to get the level loader because I keep running level loaders for different versions of Tut-Tut. So I thought, I can make an adaptation for this game, but I had to make a fair few changes to get it to load quickly and all that stuff. So that's as far as I've got. So now I actually do the hard bit and make it a game. So that's a couple of months for working that at least. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been.
Yeah, cool. Sounds like you've been very productive.
Yeah, well, I think it appears more productive than it might have been.
Oh, very good. Well, I look forward to buying the cartridge version of Tut-Tut. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, it should be good. So I don't know about when the release date is yet, but
yeah, cool. I'll keep my eye out. It's a great website. I enjoy having a look at this stuff. Cool. Now, Dave, what are you doing?
Yeah,
it's been a while since we've spoken to you last.
Yeah, well, I chickened out of the retro challenge because the only project I could come up with revolved around documenting a project I did about 2 years ago. But at heart, I'm a developer, so I hate writing documentation. And I've got too many development projects on the go to keep me busy to be bothered breaking out to do a retro challenge for October. So yeah, about 2 years ago, I wrote an online web-based simulation of an old early 60s computer called the Monrobot. Monrobot Mark 11, which was a paper tape, had 2 IBM Model B typewriter sort of input and output paper tape, transistor, not valve machine, with 1K of memory on a magnetic drum. And I found the documentation online. And the weird thing was, I swear it had my brother's handwriting in the documentation. And I used it we had one of these at school that was donated to us by a bank that was getting rid of it when they actually upgraded to something respectable. And I built the simulator, and then eventually I tracked down the guy who'd posted the documentation, and lo and behold, he went to the same school as my brother and I, even though he lived in America these days. And the documentation he'd scanned and put online was my brother's copy that he stole from my brother.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I put up the simulation. I posted it on Twitter a bit as a bit of a challenge to see if anyone would dig into it, but it didn't get many bites. So I figured it needs the documentation to make it interesting, but still haven't built up the courage to put in the time to write that. Meanwhile, as for those of you who haven't come across my stuff before, I run a sort of online community based around a product for people who can't afford to buy retro computers. It's a replica of the IMSEI 8080, but it's based on a modern microcontroller, the ESP32, but it's a faithful physical reproduction of the front panel. So if you want to check it out, the website's thehighNibble.com. And that all actually is based on a bit of software that's been around for a long time. A German guy called Udo Monk wrote a sort of a suite of machine simulators for Z80 and 8080 machines, and had the IMSEI, the Altair. Yep, Anthony's got one, Pat's got one. Oh, other people, no, somebody's got a real.
That's a real one.
Somebody. Stuart, are you the guy who was going to buy one and then managed to land a real one in the meantime?
I think he was the one. You spoke to him 2 years ago or however long it was.
Yeah. You're on mute, Stuart.
You're on mute, Stuart.
Okay, one of my mates showed me the highnibble.com, and I'm like, that's awesome, but I really want a real one. And I found a real one, and I thought, stuff it. So
you managed to get a real one. Good on you.
Yeah, look, I mean, cost a bit, but it's they're not going down in price. So if I ever want to sell it, I don't lose out.
So my current project is that this software suite called Z80 Pack, which is what I based the IMSEI on. I did a port of it to the ESP32, but only the one machine, the IMSEI. And I cop a lot of flack. It's because I don't make my ESP32 port open source, which really gets up my nose because everything I do, I backport into Z80 Pack. So you can run everything I write on a Windows or Mac or Linux box with the desktop version. It's only the ESP32 port that I don't open source. Because I've put in a shitload of time and effort making that work, and I have a product based on it. So the last thing I want is, I don't know, some little shop in China spitting out my kits for a fraction of what I can do them for.
Yeah, fair enough.
But one of the other machines, which I'd kind of ignored ever since I started, which is like 3 years ago now, was the Krememco Z1, which looks exactly like it's just the IMSEI 8080, but it's not. Krememco OEM'd the front panel and the case and the power supply, but they put all their own, they even put their own backplane in it and their own boards in it. And although you could put CPM on it, Krememco didn't directly support that. They had their own CPM-like operating system called CDOS. But more interestingly, they produced a true multi-user Unix-like operating system called Chromix that runs on Z80.
What time period would that be, Dave?
So there are copies of Chromix dating back to 76.
Okay.
The last Z80 port of Chromix was done in 84. And so I've been basically porting the Krememco machine to the ESP32 And if you go on Twitter and do a search for the high nibble, I just posted a photo of the front panel with some bodged up artwork, and I'm happy to screen share for those of you who haven't seen it before.
Hang on. Go for it.
Can I screen share, Anthony?
Yeah, you can.
Not quite. What's going on?
Okay.
I don't know. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Don't look
I
too-
haven't done Zoom screen sharing on this machine before, and I've just got to go through the security shit. Hopefully it doesn't tell me I have to do anything stupid like reboot.
I hope not.
I have to quit Zoom and reopen Zoom.
Okay, it's probably not worth it.
I'll be back in.
Yes, it's worth
It's back? Okay.
I'll be back in a few seconds.
No worries.
I think it's worth it. Come on, Anthony, you held up. So you've got one of these units, the high nibble units. Yeah, have you used it at all?
Yep, I've used it. Works great. I've got to say though that just while he's out, I'm not super good at surface mount soldering, and I had to do some drag soldering, and I made some errors, and I ripped some tracks off the board, and anyway, I got it right. It's all good now, but yeah, that was the SD card mount was the bit that I struggled with the most.
Yeah, look, I think considering the price of that thing, it's pretty bloody good.
It's cool, and oh wow, here we go.
Oh, that is a sexy backdrop.
What are we looking at here?
This is the web interface by the looks of it.
Yeah, for Kremenko.
Dave, you're on mute. So.
Right. So yeah, for anyone who hasn't seen it, because the ESP32's got Wi-Fi and heaps of RAM in it, I'd throw up a web server, and so you can put real RS-232 terminals straight into DE9 connectors on the back of it if you want to be genuine. But for convenience, I also put everything out on a web sort of virtual desktop. And this is my virtual desktop for the Kremenko. So you get a terminal, and we'll go through the boot sequence. So on the IMSA, this is a VT100 terminal, but Kremenko's actually had a nasty habit of locking you in and wanting you to use their terminals, which were called the 3102, which was really just an OEM'd beehive with a different ROM in it. And so I have to emulate the 3102 for everything to work properly. What's the time? About 2018. And so this is a multi-user Chromix. I can't really easily demonstrate its multi-user other than showing you that there are two Gettys running on the other two serial ports. So you can either connect two terminals in and get two other users going over serial ports, or you can telnet in over Wi-Fi. The problem with telnetting in is you've got to have something that can emulate a Kremenko 3102, which I've now adapted to my terminal emulator product, the VT132.
It can't take a standard VT of some sort. Like
you can plug it in and get the dumb sort of non-terminal aware stuff, like, you know, just doing an LS. All that stuff works, but like their screen editor, is strictly written for their terminal. There's no term cap equivalent in Chromix to adapt to other terminal types.
Huh.
So if you do this on,
has existed since forever.
And their terminals were stupidly expensive. Like, while other terminals were like $1,000 US, their terminals were $2.5 grand US when they were new. Which, given that they were just beehives, is pretty hard to understand. But I've been getting this.
Sorry, this Chromix software. Was this based on the Z80 or the 8080?
Z80 strictly.
Okay.
You can't do all the stuff you need to for multi-user with an 8080, particularly because in and out, the in and out instructions, there's no redirection in the 8080 instruction set.
Right.
along with other things I imagine you need redirection for. Indirection.
Yeah, no, just that, you know, I was just
indirection
curious
for.
to know. I guess the Kremenko stuff come out with. I've got a Kremenko Z80 card for mine, but just to be true to the inside, I put the original 8080 card in. But
Yeah,
very,
no,
very interesting.
you had to have their ZPU card at a minimum to run Chromix.
I've got one of those. Awesome.
Right. Well, this is the schematic for it in the background. Other things I've done recently, which I've done for the IMSA as well as for the Krememco, is to do a virtual paper tape reader. So you can drag and drop files from, which you're not going to see everything, but you'll see me drag it in. Let me just get to my downloads folder.
I hope this is going to show it spooling up.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
So, we've just got to find a decent file. Okay, I think that's yeah, there we go. So you can drag and drop a file from your operating system file explorer and it'll load it up as a punch tape. So that's just any binary file. It'll turn it into punch tape, including with the watermark in the background for the arrow so you know which direction the tape's going.
It's very important.
It's going to bail out when I try to read it because there's nothing at the other end trying to read it and it'll overflow. But when you read it, it starts scrolling up at 50 characters per second. And when it punches a tape, you see it scroll by as well. So you can get all of that on the IMSA right now and actually read tapes in. So I finally got the, if anyone's ever seen the Magenta Martini animation for the Dazzler, you can actually now read that from paper tape the way it was meant to be done. I've got a video on YouTube that demos that if you go looking at my YouTube channel. But what's more useful if you're going to take your IMSA or your Krememco Z1 on the road is you really want to have a library of tapes on the SD card in your device. So here you can have a library of tapes and drag and drop them from the library. But if you actually punch an original tape from your machine by running some software and punching to the tape reader, what you can also do is drag and drop a tape into your library and it'll store a binary image of the tape and add it to your library. So that's pretty cool. That's the sort of stuff I've been working on. There is a bit of work, getting documentation scrubbed up and putting it in the manual library so you can actually get all of anything you can find as a PDF, you can put on the machine as a manual and just open your documentation directly from the machine. This one's about 8 meg, so the little ESP32 struggles to serve up 8 meg really quickly, but we'll get there eventually. So you can have all your documentation actually with you on the machine and maintain it in a little library of your manual. And then the same with discs, which was one of the original motivations for doing this user interface, because you want to have your library of discs with you. And I've just recently, in fact, just while I was waiting for this Zoom session to start, I've just been buggerizing around with making the windows resizable. So if you've got an empty drive, you can just pick up a disk that's not currently used and go and drop it in a drive to load it. And now it's readable from the operating system. Or you can eject disks and put them, and they go back in the disk box. And there's a line printer which works. So if we go back to the terminal, did we get it started yet? So we can do a ls-l of the bin directory and redirect it to dev lpt1. And we change over there. If I got it right, it'll start coming out on the line printer. And if you grew up in Australia, this blue line paper is what we're used to, but Americans like green bar. And if you're doing word processing, of course, you want high quality, just plain white paper. And recently I've added a 132 column printer paper as well.
What about the sound effects of the dot matrix printer?
I've thought about it, but it's a bit cheesy. People really want sound effects for my inbuilt AT modem as well. But I've resisted the temptation.
Is this software all free that you offer? Is it on your website?
This is all just built into my product, which is the replica front panel.
Yeah, so for Stuart, on the IMSI 8080, it has this virtual, almost the same, but clearly.
Right, no, yeah, because basically for development work I do, sometimes I'm in the house and stuff instead of in the garage. You know, I'm trying to muck around with doing some work. So to do that, I need some type of emulator. And I've just been using a Java-based browser emulator that I found on the internet that allows you to do things like load, you know, it simulates, you can drag and drop for like a paper tape punch and reader. You can, you know, load files in. You can load Intel hex files in and so forth, but not worried about the front panel switches as such, but just, you know, some development work. And
yeah, the only front panel switches I provide through this user interface are just the stop, start, and single step load examine, not all the address and data.
No, just the point that I've seen before that you've got the Dazzler and the VIO and all that sort of stuff, and all sorts of stuff. Okay, you've written the code, or you've taken existing code and got it working and recompiled it and so forth.
Well, there was so Udo Monk's Z80 pack had a Dazzler and a VIO running under X Windows.
Right.
So I kind of looked at that as a bit of a guide, but redeveloped it so that it runs over WebSockets into the web browser.
Yeah.
If you get a hold of Z80 pack and go and turn on the right options, which I can, there's help on the forum to help you do that. You can get this user interface running the virtual machine, running the simulator on a Mac or a PC or Linux.
Well, what I've been running is this shell in a box. There's a VT100 terminal emulator. It was written by Chris Duval. Yeah, Z80 pack by Udo Monk. Yeah, so it's actually so it's a terminal emulator and an 8080 emulator, but all of the other stuff in relation to things like, I noticed, you know, you can emulate. I've got a VIO card.
Yeah. So on my IMSI 8080, I emulate the VIO.
Yeah.
And I also emulate the Cyclops video camera, and it just takes your web camera and down scales it to 32 by 32 pixels, 16 shades of gray.
Yeah.
And you can run all the original Cyclops software.
So obviously all the emulation for the VIO, the function calls you send to it, you've actually copied or just made a copy of the ROM or just written your own code to make it the same?
No, it uses I send the little 2K memory buffer that the VIO is using. I send that over WebSockets to the software I'm running on the client here.
Okay.
And the same with the Dazzler. I send the, whatever it is, 4K of Dazzler RAM at 60 frames a second over WebSockets to the software I'm running in the browser.
Very nice.
Cool. So yeah, the Krememco, I've got the Dazzler on it, but I don't have the Cyclops camera, and I also support the Krememco D+7A IO card, so you can have the analog joystick plugged in as well. So if you've got a game controller plugged into your whatever computer you're running the browser, you can have the analog joystick actually feeding directly in as if it's connected to a Krememco, and it's a Krememco analog joystick.
So to do all of this stuff that we just, the Krememco, Dazzler, all that sort of stuff, essentially you need your high-level IMSI 8088 device.
No, you can do that through Z80 pack on a Mac or a PC running Windows or Linux.
I was going to say, because I've got an IMSI, you know, I don't want to buy one of yours, sorry, but I would like just the ESP board and all of the stuff. You know what I mean? Because
this is where I come back to my sort of opening point is I backport all of this into Z80 pack, so you don't have to buy my product to have all of this software.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. A few features like having the tape library and the I think the tape library and the manual library, it's not worth putting them on Z80 pack because you're definitely, you know, on the computer where you're running the simulator. But the disk library, yep, that's available there, and all the peripherals are there.
Cool. I'll have a look.
Cool. And are you going to be selling this anytime soon, or is it available now?
It's not available just yet. I've got to get some of the acrylic front panels spun up, and I only just did the artwork that you see in the photo on Twitter. I only just did that this afternoon. The software I've been working.
Crememco unit, isn't it from the front panel? I actually thought it was just the rebranded inside because the front panel looks almost identical.
Yeah, well, they OEM'd the actual front panel board.
Okay.
And they OEM'd the case and the power supply from IMSA.
Yeah.
But even the back plane inside the case and all the cards are Crememco cards in a Crememco Z1.
Yeah.
So it shares nothing else with the IMSA other than the case and the front panel.
Cool.
I've been working on this port for about 2 months of Z80 pack onto the ESP32. It's not finished. It's pretty close. So my ambition is this side of Christmas is to try and make a Crememco Z1 kit available.
Awesome.
And anyone who's got the IMSA 8080 kit will actually just be able to load the Crememco machine as an alternative firmware and doesn't actually have to buy another kit. And you can just switch back and forth between them by loading different firmwares. But if you're keen and you want to have them both on display, you'll get the proper artwork on the front panel if you buy a second kit.
Yeah, and I might do a better job at doing the SD socket in mine.
You know, you're actually in very, very a small community of people who have actually screwed that up, Anthony.
Yeah, I screwed
the only
up.
one.
There's about 5 or 6 people who have ever dared to tell me that they've screwed it up and asked for help on what to do about it.
Yeah. Cool. Great.
So that's what I've been up to lately.
Awesome. I'm just gonna. Yep. Awesome. Great. So who have we got? We've got Pat. Pat, tell me what you're doing. Last month you said you did nothing. What are you doing this month?
Yeah. Look, much the same in that it's probably more procurement activities than actually doing stuff. I'm coming up to the end of my financial half at the moment, so things are a bit intense. But I have been trying to. So I've got a Trinity collection, right? Like I've got an Apple II, I've got a TRS-80 Model 1, and I have like a PET 4032. So in kind of a category that is a little bit niche, I've been kind of collecting a Japanese Trinity, and I've just actually put that together. So I have a NEC PC8001, and I have I don't have it. So there's so Sharp have something called a MZ80K. I have an 80A, which is similar, but just not a bit like how with the 4032, it's got a nice keyboard. That's what the 80A is like. And I have a Hitachi MB6880. However, before all of those machines in Japan, the first personal computer was something called, and these are bloody rare as hen's teeth, a Sword M100. And I've been trying to find one of these for about 1 million years. And I managed to actually locate one in the US as opposed to Japan. And the bloke that I was talking to about it actually had a bunch of interesting, compilers and stuff like that for it. The fact that I could find it with English manuals and English software, I don't, by the way, I don't physically have my hands on it sitting at a ship order at the moment, but I managed to get the Sword unit. It's got a couple of broken keys on it, and it's got, but it's got some disk drives. So I don't know what shape it's in, but trying to find one of these things is just really, really hard. I've never really seen one. I've seen them come up. I saw one that someone had bought on an auction site once, but I never actually saw it come up for auction. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that and doing a bit of restoration work. Yeah, I mean, look, I've been procuring a few things here and there, but that's kind of been one of my silent achievements in the background that goes into a category of very special interest. So,
cool. I wish I knew that you were interested in that about 15 years ago, because I had a Sharp MZ80 and I sold it.
Yeah, well, I've got
nobody wanted it. It was like, I think I practically gave it away because it just wasn't valuable. No one cared.
The whole Sharp MZ sort of thing, it goes spiraling off in lots of different directions. Like the first one was an MZ80K, and the keyboard for that looks pretty similar to the original PET 2001 keyboard.
That's the one I had.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I do see those come up. And as much as I want to be a purist, I kind of prefer the proper keyboard.
The usable one.
Yeah. So I haven't gone. I may at some point go and get it, but it's at this point I just I pay too much. I spend too much money on shipping for things, so I'm trying to have some restraint.
Cool. Very good.
What's the go on the NEC? Is that just a CPM based machine, or?
It's Z80. In fact, I mean, what you kind of see in most Japanese computers, a bit like 6502 was kind of the big chip in the US. In Japan, almost all of them are Z80. So Hitachi's not. So they start off with the 6800 and then 6809 is kind of the route they went. But most Japanese computers are all Z80 based.
Cool. Very good. Nothing else, Pat?
I think the H2's got a Z80 in it.
Yeah. All MSXs are Z80 based.
Yeah.
I could name other things, but that's probably a good summary.
No worries. I forgot to mention the only other thing that I did do is I bought the Apple III soft card kit, which is the Z80 board for the Apple III. I assembled it and I actually got it working. I was pretty thrilled. I put it together, installed it. It just flashed its little red light at me, and I thought, Jesus, what have I done wrong this time? And it turned out that I just didn't push the chip in the socket.
Is that a fairly modern kit?
It's brand new. It's made by a guy in America, Joe's Museum, I think his website's called. And he's grabbed the Microsoft soft card and he's basically supplies a kit to build it.
So he's adapted it for the Apple III.
Oh no, it's the Apple III soft card Microsoft made.
Right. Oh, okay, but it's a reproduction.
It's a reproduction of that Microsoft board. So it's like $80 shipped. So it's not expensive. And I really enjoyed it. Took me 2 days, maybe 4 hours, and it was a great build.
That reminds me of something else that got added to the IMSA lately. Was a guy in Canada, Fred Weigel or Rigel or something, decided to do a software emulation of the AMD numeric code, or not numeric coprocessor. It wasn't a processor, but the arithmetic processing unit that was made by AMD back in the time of the 8080.
Huh. Is that the 2901?
And you can still buy these chips, and people have been putting them on a board in the RC 2014, but there was no software emulation for it. And this guy, it was quite a straightforward thing to do. So I ported that into the IMSA. But the real trick is he could not find a single original piece of software that had native support for the AMD arithmetic processor. And he was aware that there were at least 3 different Fortran libraries from back in the day, but he could not find the code anywhere, and he still can't. So he started writing his own version of the Microsoft Fortran library for the APU. But anyway, chatting with Udo Monk about it, because Udo's got an interesting history. He worked for Mark Williams Computing, the company behind Coherent, and also happened to be the company behind XY Basic, one of the sort of contenders for being the best basic up against Microsoft Basic back in the 8080 days. And XY Basic, he's got all the original source code for XY Basic, and XY Basic had native support for the AMD arithmetic processor.
Oh, awesome.
You just had to compile it in with the right settings when you compiled the code. So we compiled a version of XY Basic with native support. And when you run it, it can do 3D plots and things like about twice as fast as using a floating point software library.
Oh, that's cool.
On some Bitcoins?
Sorry. Oh, yeah. It might do it a bit faster than that Commodore 64 Bitcoin mining port.
So is it the 2901? AM 2901?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cat, be quiet.
Oh, very good. Cool.
So yeah, that was something else I've added in lately, was the arithmetic processing, co-processing.
Support. Cool.
So that software you said, the source code.
Yeah.
Is he making that publicly available?
Well, actually, the guy, it's somebody else from Mark Williams Computing. The guy who wrote XY Basics got it up on his website. I have to remember his name. But if you do a Google search for XY Basic, there's not that many hits, and you'll find the guy who wrote it for Mark Williams Computing, and he's put all the source code up on his site.
Oh, awesome. That's awesome.
Although, interestingly, I did some speed tests, and it's going to be a subject of a video eventually, following using, Noel from Spain's fairly shitty basic benchmarking algorithm. XY Basic is slightly faster than Microsoft Basic generally, but not as fast as BBC Basic for the Z80. BBC Basic is almost twice as fast as Microsoft Basic.
So do you know this? I'm assuming this XY Basic was written after Microsoft's Basic from the Altair.
Like literally within the same year, I think. It's follows about a year on the heels of the original Microsoft Basic. But it had a bit more of a focus on control systems.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really put up as a general purpose Basic for hobbyists. It was put up by Mark Williams Computing for writing control system programs in Basic. So it's got much better sort of I/O management, handling than Microsoft Basic.
Cool.
And you can make ROMable. You can compile ROMable basic programs with it.
Okay.
Wow.
So you can actually produce, and there's a runtime. You can either compile, there is a compiled version of it, or there's a runtime version of it. So you can put a basic program and the XY Basic runtime into a ROM, or you can put a compiled XY Basic program into a ROM.
Cool.
Very cool.
Henry, what have you been doing?
Not that much. Just like I think what Pat said, been in acquisition mode. So one of the machines that I've always been wanting is, don't know why, because I've always been a Sinclair fan, but I really love the form factor of some of the old when Amstrad took over Sinclair. So picked up an Amstrad. I can't really see it. The 6.1. Oh damn it! There you go. The 6.1 28 plus. So, and found it really nice little machine. Like some of the demos they've actually got a demo of Shadow of the Beast that's actually running on it. And you'd swear if you weren't actually looking at the screen too closely, that was actually running like an Amiga. So yeah, look, nice little unit. Cost me way too much, but there's a bit of story in that. I actually ended up selling a comic book for the price of that computer. So it ended up costing me net zero. So let's not go there. But anyway, and Murray, something for you. So if you're going to get an MSX, you've got to get yourself the Sony Hitbit. So that's the MSX2. Awesome little unit. I love the MSX. I actually did one of probably my favorite computers, and arguably probably one of the best ports of Bubble Bobble. If anyone's plays the Bubble Bobble there, so go check that out. I did some little repairs. I bought a little kit from Amy Bay for my A600. It's an RGB to HDMI adapter for for the Amiga. So it comes with a little adapter for the Denise chip, so that it just basically piggies back like the Furia accelerator. Anyway, there's direction he meant to put it on, and bloody Henry, like in all of his enthusiasm, decided to actually put the actual Denise chapter the other way around. So I'm sitting there going, why am I not getting any picture on my screen? And why is everything really hot? So anyway, I end up destroying my Denise chip. So, well, I think I have anyway, but Tom Walker, that a few of you probably know from the forums, I've just got to shoot my motherboard over to him and he'll have a look at it. But lucky, Anthony, I've got backups. I've got my A2 1200 to play with while in the interim while it's actually out.
If you could give me the chip number, I was gifted this awesome Commodore Repair Center drawers full of ICs.
Yeah.
I might have some chips for you should you need them. And I'm not interested in the Amiga chips. So you can have it if I've got it.
Yeah, I might take you up, or Tom and I will take up on. He's actually got a parts board of A600 with a Denise chip on it. So he's got a fault finder. My technical knowledge is basically zero when it comes to those sort of things. So I'll shoot it over to him and get him. I might actually do that this week. But the only other thing I've been playing with has been the Mr. FPGA call. So all I'm going to say is, why have I not played with Mr. beforehand? It is like going down that rabbit hole. So I've been playing around with quite a number of the cores on it. So much so that I'm on the first of the 500 with the RMC, not Kickstarter, but you know whatever the offer is. So hopefully that will come in December before Christmas to have a play with. But I'm actually thinking of buying a second Mister, mainly because I actually want to get the Checkmate 1500 mini case and throwing the Mister in there just for a lot of my computer cores. Like yourself, Anthony, when you were doing a big sort of cleanup of your place, living in an apartment, I have got way too many computers to fit into an inner city apartment. So I'm actually thinking now of actually selling off a lot of the consoles and computers that I've got that I picked up relatively cheap in my days and make maximum use of it. And then just basically probably cutting down to probably my top, probably going to say anywhere between my top 15, 20 consoles and computers and leave it at that.
Just go top 100, Henry.
yeah. So,
the other alternative is to buy a bigger house.
Actually, I don't even want to know how. I should got to add them on. I don't even want to know how many computers I've got. I've totally forgot.
That seems to be trendy at the moment.
Yeah, I totally forgot. I've got a Commodore 128. I only found out in the cleanup. I'm going, I don't remember buying that. So just like, I'm sure we can all relate to like finding packages and purchases where you think, when did I pick that up? Oh yeah. So let's drag it out and have a play with it. So
buying things in your sleep.
yeah. So, which is actually interesting because I've still got because Dave's actually sold me a BBC Micro and a Spectrum toast rack, but I will I'll definitely find places for them. They're in my top. They're in my curated list. But yeah, it's just interesting. But yeah, looking forward to the Mister and been playing around with a lot of the cores. So yeah, that's sort of been my fun at the time because. Like the Amigas, I think I mentioned it in the last in our last catch up. There's not a lot of documentation for Mister for stuff that goes right. There isn't a lot of documentation for when it goes wrong. So, and I'm having some troubles at the moment with my Neo Geo cores and trying to get stuff running with memory and stuff. And it doesn't seem like there's a lot of people that have had the same sort of, I suppose, situations that I've got. So it's a lot of it's actually finding it all out from myself, which has been fun. That's the whole point of actually troubleshooting, isn't it? Sort of learning. Anyway, that's it for me. And I think someone actually mentioned too, my God, these menus come around way too quickly. Thinking it only seemed like last weekend, but yeah, that's not the case at all.
Yeah, well, Murray wants them weekly, so you know.
Yeah. That's my update. So hopefully by next time I should have all my Mister stuff all up and running. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Awesome.
That's it for me. Yeah.
Now, is Cameron actually alive? Oh, he is.
Yes. Yeah, I have.
So, Cameron, what have you been doing?
Only just. It's funny you should say that because, hello, I'm in hospital. But it's not that bad, so don't freak out.
Yeah, I did
hardcore.
Not inside scoop. I'll give you the tip, guys.
Yeah, I did a. I'll just post the link here. Yeah, I just did a little setup at my sister's tourism business. She's got a multimedia room, so I posted some photos there if you want to have a look. And yeah, it's just for school holidays basically. That was pretty fun.
I like the Labyrinth game. I used to love them as a kid.
Yeah, like Run Yourself Ragged. That's what it's called here in Australia. Yeah, so that was just for fun. So no computers, a Vectrex, Atari, 4-player, Nintendo 64, original NES with original Mario because kids never they think that's great, and some weird little tabletop things like Scramble and like a wooden thing and a Viewmaster and laser discs. Just a little setup like that. That's fun. We had a few hundred people go through that. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it actually takes quite a bit of setup. Just getting everything working. Like, remember last month I was like, what's all this powder coming out of these Nintendo 64 controllers? And apparently, like, it's such a bad design that's just the plastic wearing away. It's like a literal pile of plastic. So there's like wacky ways to fix it with super glue. So I tried them, and that kind of worked. But they're so dodgy. One interesting thing that came out of that though, I'll just share my screen, is a guy saw it and he said, "Oh, I've got some old computers and stuff." And as you do, like, this is sort of the weird way we find out stuff. I'll zoom to share my screen. Actually, you know what? I'll just give you the link. So I thought, oh yeah, he's going to say like PlayStation 1s and stuff because I only had consoles for that setup. But no, he said he's got BBCs and Archimedes and an ARM droid that he's going to give me. Has anyone heard of an ARM droid?
It's like Armatron, but much beefier.
No.
Yeah, like an industrial,
Yeah,
educational / industry one. It's pretty awesome. I haven't played around with it yet, but
Jesus.
you never know where people like beavering stuff away in the back of their cupboard. So I can't wait to play with it because I've got a turtle, like an original Tasman turtle.
Oh, sweet.
Robot with the dome. So I want to get them both working to get the BBC and Apple II set up as like a proper early 80s, late 70s educational setup. Yeah, so that's kind of weird. That's all I've really been doing other than just fixing friggin' Nintendo 64 controllers, which is very boring and it's sketchy as hell. Yeah, so I don't
Is
know.
this ARM droid you're talking about? Is this the orange?
Yes.
Yeah, the ARM droid.
That's it.
Big, chunky, like, late 70s, all steel. I'm sure it's heavy as hell.
Matches the color of my charger. That orange.
Yeah, I'd heard of them, but I never really couldn't remember what they look like. There's actually quite a few models, so I'm not sure what models he's got. I'm sure it's all the plastic's cracked and everything, but I'll probably 3D print some replacements. But yeah, pretty fun. Yeah,
It'd be
my
interesting
BBC
to find the software that they use to interact with that thing. Because you could imagine
it's pretty simple. There is software for it, but it's just parallel port signal. So I mean, yeah, I could whip something like that. And there's one, if you see the Blogspot post there, if you have a look in the middle, yeah, he's actually got some open source software he's written for a microcontroller, so you can control it with your smartphone and stuff. So that's pretty cool.
I'm looking at the article that's in there that says about robots. It's got the Topo robot on it, and it's actually mentioned in there. So you got the buggy, you got your turtle there that you're talking about,
Yeah.
and then the ARM droid. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
All in one. This is the site.
Yeah, so you need to get Buggy and Topo, and you're laughing.
Yeah, Topo. I've never seen Topo. I've seen buggies before, and that 6-wheeler thing up the top.
Yeah, was it the tracks or something?
Yeah. I didn't. Big Guy do a video on that? Yeah, I think Big Guy did a video. Yeah, because it's got a tape deck in it, which is awesome for the instructions. Yeah, so cool. All sort of links together. Yeah, that was a fun setup. It's still running actually. Just left it going for 2 weeks pretty much and hope that no one broke anything. One of the screens blew up. The Vectrex has been going for 2 weeks straight, so that's a bonus.
That's
I
right.
honestly did. Yeah, I had no idea it would keep on going. And
speaking of Vectrex, you've got one, Cameron. Has anyone bought? And this guy is Australian. He's made the Pytrex, the Raspberry Pi interface cartridge that does even more improved graphics on your Vectrex.
Yeah, I've seen Doom running on on
Yeah.
a Vectrex.
Anyway, so
I'm like,
I ordered one. It was like it's not
Oh.
expensive. It's like $60 or $50, and
okay.
I'm pretty excited to see what I can run on that Vectrex. So
Well, yeah, try and run the Doom port, because when I first saw that, I thought, no, what? And yeah, like the calculations are being done on a PC.
Oh, so this is
being
more than just
told
a
to draw.
multi-cart thing.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
going to send you the link to this thing I'm just talking about.
Yeah, send me the link, Anthony, because I'd buy one because I've got a Vectrex.
Hang on.
You need a Pi. You need a Pi Zero.
You do need
Yeah.
I've got a Pi Zero.
All right. So there's
Lucky I bought a couple before they were sold out.
I
Cameron.
I haven't been playing with it at all.
Yeah. Hey, Cameron, so went to my library, pulled out my home computer course,
Huh.
and
What do you know?
There you
That's
go.
awesome.
Oh, yeah.
it's
Oh
there.
man, I'm gonna have to track that one down to go with it.
All right.
That's amazing.
That's all scanned on archive.org.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, I like the original stuff. So especially for public setups, I think the original form factor is half the point. For people who've never seen it before, you know.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, I can't wait to set it up and set it up at some schools and see what kids think of the arm droid and the turtle.
Awesome.
Be good.
Not very good.
Yeah. Cool.
Now, we haven't heard from Craig Pierce in a very, very long time. Is he actually there? And is Craig still in? Oh my goodness, he's grown a beard.
I am here. It is like, what is it, about 5 a.m., but I'm going good. So, hey, everyone, based out of Austin, Texas. I've been pretty slow on the acquisition front, actually. I think last time I caught up with you folks might have been about 9 months ago. I feel like it was definitely, maybe the start of 2021 or end of 2020. And I put a posting up saying, I'm pretty much done for now with collecting. And of course, I don't know if it can ever be done. It's like weeding gardens and stuff. But I've only been getting a few bits and pieces here and there. And my garage is being overtaken by dirt bikes and other hobbies and kids and stuff. But one thing I did pick up was a K-Pro in Houston about 3 months ago. There's a place liquidating there, and I just got a bunch of things. I've got the K-Pro, some Sound Blaster stuff, and a variety of things there. I bought one eBay thing, which was a Next Station. It's probably hard to see it with the shadowing and stuff, but that's about the only Next thing I've got, actually. I also picked up a Coleco off another collector, cheap. I'm sort of very careful space-wise and price-wise, but the only other thing is really just bits and pieces, just working on the software collection a little bit, mostly boxed stuff, operating systems, word processors, and security stuff, like lots of old school AV and various things. Been getting into back into racing a little bit, actually. I was track marshalling the MotoGP last weekend, and I'll be intervention marshalling the Formula One in a couple of weeks. So I started actually picking up a few games here and there. So the old very first NASCAR racing, and but that's really been it for me. Someone mentioned a Commodore 120 out. I've got one box down there with a bunch of accessories. Unfortunately, it's not looking very pretty in beige boxes, but colleague Bo, he's very active in the Commodore scene. He only lives 20 minutes away. Yes, Bo Zimmerman. So
you can see
he actually gave
very active.
well, I rocked up there before COVID, and he just gave me that. He would not let me leave his house without a couple of boxes worth of Commodore kit. So my plan is, as Delta gets a little bit less scary over the coming months, I'll probably start rocking up there again. He's got a monthly meet at his house, actually. When I say house, it's a living museum, basically. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. So I've got one more shelf, this dodgy looking plastic black shelf, just to be able to sort a few things more out, make it look pretty. But space wise, that's about as much as I'm allowed. So I've got the other half. She's put a few constraints in place, which is fair enough too, because I do have a 20-foot shipping container back in Victoria full of some goodies. So anyway.
What's its address, Craig? What's its address?
It's nice and secured in on some farm property in rural Victoria. So no, it's in good shape.
Oh, sweet. Are you coming back anytime soon?
Those things
I think for a visit. Yeah, it's been a while and hard to get back, but for a visit, I'll definitely come back. I would say next year, mid next year would be the plan. I think I've caught up with some folks. I remember Ian and a few others in the Bandura meet.
I'm caught up with you there, Craig.
Oh, cool. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, but I'll definitely be coming.
Couplers, if I remember correctly.
I think one comes to mind. It was a couple of Christmases ago, again, just before all the shit went down with COVID. So yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Not a lot on the retro scene. The kids are playing the Atari 2600 upstairs on a 1972 RCA television, which I got the television from Computer Reset in Dallas. That was the other trip I did, was one more Computer Reset trip. It's dangerous going there. There's just so many goodies still. Every time you think, there won't be anything good left, that just means that they've been able to bottom out in another section of the warehouse and find more stuff to give away. But yeah, no, having fun. It's just time to get a few of what I've got up and running and more presentable. So yeah. Awesome. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you. Good to see everyone.
Nice to see you,
Craig. Have you been thinking of going to any of the VCFs in the US? Have you been to any of them?
I went to one in Seattle, actually. That one that I did go to was, I think it was attached to the Living Computer Museum at the time. And yeah, picked up a few things there. I remember there was a copy of like Windows 1 for free that someone picked up like right in front of me. There's just definitely some, good things going around there. But I'll go to some VCFs soon. We've been pretty careful with what we go to, just with how everything's been in Texas. But yeah, absolutely. Do you have any recommendations in terms of some being better than others?
I haven't been to any of them. I want to start going to them next year. So hopefully I'll do one or two next year and have something to report.
Excellent. We'll have to maybe exchange details, maybe through the Facebook group or something. And depending on where it is and when it is, I might try and get to the same one.
The shame is that the Living Computer Museum in Seattle is no more.
Yeah, I heard
I was
that.
meant to go to VCF Northwest March last year, I should say, just as COVID was breaking. And of course, everything got called off. And then after that, they actually not just shut the museum for the time being, but shut down the museum.
Well, friends of mine who
pretty sure
those things in the US, the VCFs, are saying that they're basically patronage is back to pre-COVID levels. So it sounds like they're worthwhile attending now. So I'm just waiting for Borders to have some.
You've run out of stuff in Victoria to find, have you?
What's that?
You run out of stuff in Victoria.
Oh no, I was a traveller from way back. This 2 years is the shit.
East has been happening this weekend.
Yeah. Well, it was Tandy Assembly last weekend, and so I couldn't go to that. And there's Cocoa Fest in November this year. Can't go to that, so I'm sort of trying to fill up my agenda for next year.
I think with the Living Computer Museum, I'm pretty sure Paul Allen's wife didn't have the same passion for it and didn't want to fund it. So I'm really wondering what happened to all of the IMSAs. They had at least 6 IMSAs that you could see as a visitor there.
In a storeroom out the back, which a mate of mine in Seattle's got photos of, in a storeroom out the back, they had rack shelving with about another 50 IMSAs and another 50 Altairs. And
yeah.
But they had all the big machines on multiple levels that you could just log in over the internet and use, like control data systems and DEC system 10s and system 20s and the like. And the problem is it all had to be powered down, and the guys who, the retired engineers who used to go in and maintain it haven't had access to it. So it's going to, even if somehow the doors can be reopened, it's going to just be a huge effort getting anything running again.
Yeah, that's a shame. I know Max Burnett sold them a PDP 7 or 8. I can't remember which one was the really rare one, but yeah, they had a great collection. I lived in Seattle for 3 years and had a membership and used to go there regularly. I hear you though, like when powering one of those really old 60s or 70s machines back up, it's going to take a lot of work, and some of that knowledge they may not have access to again.
Yeah.
Very sad. All right. Well, I think we've actually now gone through everybody, haven't we? So now you can talk about whatever you like. I just want to say, did everyone see the Apple Lisa on eBay Australia?
No.
I was watching it. It was in Alexandra. The guy picked it up and he sold it. I think it sold for $4,500. And what was really cool was I liked if they had. So for those who don't know, Lisa has 7 software packages, and there was a manual for each of the 7 software packages because this was bought original. This was someone who had owned it from the very beginning. So it was a neat little auction. But yeah, someone paid.
Was it rare or was it just a normal one?
It was Steve Jobs rare.
You know what?
With ats instead of O's.
Yeah. Look. Yeah. No, but the auctioneer, I don't think really understood what he was dealing with. But yeah, it didn't have too much flair. But
you know, at $4,000, I mean, normally a Lisa in the US market would go for 2.5 US. Quite often, like that, it wouldn't be unusual for it to go around that price.
This one was not powered up in the last 10 years.
Okay.
Maybe 20 years.
Yeah. Is it a Lisa 1 or 2?
Lisa 2.
Yeah, so the Lisa 1's worth a heap.
Oh well, Lisa 1 would be priceless, but Lisa 2, like $4,000 might be a fair price. I don't know. I mean, if people are going to pay, what did you say, 1,200 for an Amiga 1200? I think they're going to pay 2,500 for a Lisa 2.
Yeah, I got to say, maybe I should start thinning my Amiga hood. I do have a few spare ones.
Don't say that, Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's been keeping track. I'm going to stop selling Apple IIs. I've been selling a lot of Apple IIs on eBay, just liquidating, and I'm going to stop because I think I've saturated the market.
Flooded the market already.
So I've been watching the average selling price dropping. I think it's time to stop. It's time to stop
for the moment, of course.
Yeah.
You are the George Soros of the computing world.
Yeah, but 64s are increasing in value. That's what I don't understand. Like I was selling them a year ago for $300. Now I'm selling them for $600. And
mate, you should start selling them 2 at a time now.
Yeah, but we don't want to saturate the market. So
you just got to put super rare on it.
I've been going C, bread bin, C, bread bin, C, bread bin, right? Now the bread bin socketed, if you've got a fully socketed bread bin, $600, no problem. But a 64C unsocketed, you're looking 300. So that's a big difference. I was really surprised. So anyway, just putting it out there. If you just happen to have 80 or 100 Commodore 64s, you might have the opportunity to make some dollars.
What if you just spend $20 on sockets and
yeah, but you might destroy the chip.
Man.
Actually, what you could do is you could give them a 64C with sockets. You could say, here's some sockets, do it yourself.
And that's $800.
Yeah.
It's a kit. It's a do-it-yourself kit.
The IKEA version.
Well, you could say rare socketed 64C.
Yeah, no, rare socketed 64C comes with optional sockets. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Rare socketed 64C. Oh, 64, I mean, bread bin.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so there you go. So those sell well. Those sell really well.
So you probably saw my for sale sign. I'm actually I'm not getting rid, but I'm actually selling my Ultimate 64, and that's actually going to the buyer, whoever gets it, because I pulled the case out because I needed it for the Ultimate 64, but this is actually a working motherboard.
Where are you selling this, Henry?
It's on the vintage group at the moment. It's
the buy swap group.
Yeah, in the bike swap group.
Oh no, I did not see that.
Yeah.
I don't need one. I've got.
I was going to say, do you need another one?
No, I don't need one, but I just want to see that it might be a really good deal.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't. I'm looking at it now. Yeah. Damn you, Henry.
How much is he asking?
I'm asking 600, but I'll throw in the motherboard.
It's rare.
Yeah. Actually, 600 is a good deal considering what I just said about how much a socketed board sells for.
Well, I thought it was a fair price because right now the Ultimate 64s they're €185, but you can't get them. Oh, actually €215, but they're sold out. So I thought, oh yeah, this is how much I paid for mine, and then plus the case and the computer. I thought that's a pretty fair deal anyway. But anyway,
it's a very fair deal. In fact, I think you're ripping yourself off.
Yeah,
$2,000.
No,
4.5.
If I put look, maybe I add an extra 100.
Steve Jobs.
The Commodore 64 Lisa 3.
You've been looking Jack Trammell.
Jack Trammell. Yeah, goodness me. Yeah, no, eBay's been interesting. Not many interesting things coming up on eBay. There's been a lot of these appear. I don't know what's going on. I'll show you. I've been buying them.
Oh. If he's been buying them, they must be like $500 now.
These are the early Atari foreign language learning series. So they come with manual and audio tape. So if you want to learn Spanish, this is what you need, because words like "what is your dog's name" might be something that's practical when you go on holidays.
But those you need like an original program recorder, like the 410 that does the stereo, right? So it's got code and the audio.
Yep, that's right.
So you couldn't play it on one of the ones for the XL.
I remember as a kid, because I had one of these in the States, and I always found it amazing because you can hear the data track in the background, and there's audio playing as well, but you can hear the noises that the high pitched squealing and the audio. So that's pretty smart. But,
so Anthony, if I'm ever in Mexico City and I need a translator, I said, just 1 second, I'm just going to fire up my Atari 800, just load it from cassette.
Yep. You can even use a 400, so for yourself choice.
What's the load time though via cassette?
That's a great question. I'll tell you something.
Very long.
Yeah, I don't know, but I should actually use them rather than just have them on the shelf. But I think it might be fun. That would be a fun retro challenge. Learn to speak German the Atari way.
Yeah, I got a set on 78 vinyl.
Oh, really? How to speak a foreign language?
Yeah, its own little case.
Is it by Longman? Because Longman were the people who used to do all this foreign language stuff, and as you can see, Longman EMI actually produced it for Atari. But yeah, anyway, I wouldn't be surprised because this sort of
No, I'd have to find it now.
Yeah, no stress, no pressure. Yeah. Anyway, anyone else got anything else to talk about before we wind it up?
I was going to say I've been playing with this arrived on Friday.
Ooh, what's that?
Some goblins, something.
Ghosts and Goblins for the MSX with a Paragraph V9990 card.
Okay.
Can you tell me what a Paragraph V9990 card is?
Well, if you want to get one yourself, they're selling what's called a light one, which doesn't have all the connectors. It'll work on an MSX1 and above. Not all of the games will work on an MSX1 and above, because of course games that have graphics like the ones that you can do with this do need a bit of processing speed as well. So most of the games work better if you've got a machine with a turbo or a turbo R. And you can have multiple bit planes, higher resolutions, lots and lots of sprites that are multicolored, and all of those planes can be scrolled and everything like that, all controlled by Z80. So I've actually done a video of the game. I'll send you a link to that as well. And it actually plays quite well. My playing was pretty atrocious, though. This is a bad demonstration warning.
Is it Jason Weber bad? Because he did his. What was not this video, the one before he did the Atari one?
The Coco game.
Oh yeah.
No, Jason only ever plays. Is it called Oomph? Oh.
I gave him some light flack about his gameplay.
So when I plug the game in and put it in, just make sure the sound was working before I started recording. I got past the mid-level boss and got to the other things. All right, it's working now. I'll play it for real. I played it 4 times and got killed on the mid-level boss every single time.
So, Tony, is there actually software written specifically for that cart, or does it actually do, I suppose, intelligent enhancements to existing software?
Yeah, well, it's sort of like it gives you a new graphics chip that adds onto the machine. Because the MSX bus is fully exposed through the cartridge slots, you can take on the machine. So like this, the fat one that I have has quite a few outputs. So they remove the, I'm not sure the new one has the VGA anymore, but you've got the mini DIN and the composite.
Yeah.
But it's the graphics are pretty much arcade perfect. The sound in my video, I need a slot expander to be able to put in like an OLP music card as well. So there's no music in the intro sequence, but there is sound effects and music in the game. And apparently I didn't know I have to reboot and press a key to turn it into, I was playing on an NTSC, and the cartridge when you come from these guys has already configured itself for PAL. So you've got to flip, it doesn't auto detect your machine speed.
Yeah.
Press a key. So that's my bonus in the video. And I've also, another thing I didn't mention, I wrote a game this month. If you want to give me screen sharing for a second.
Oh, is it off? Hang on. No, it's available apparently.
So it's not finished.
Huh.
Lunar Lander.
Lunar Rescue runs on Space Invaders hardware and the original.
Oh wow, this looks complicated.
And it was a mixture of game styles and it came out before Asteroids too.
Oh, so this actually is an actual arcade game that's been
Yeah, I've written my version of it that runs on Coleco MSX and original Spectre Video.
Awesome.
Very nice.
And I'm going to release it as a triple pack of 70s games. And one of the other games is going to be this one. This is Depth Charge.
That's the old Seawolf game.
Yeah, it looks like Seawolf.
Yeah, it was called Seawolf as well, and Sub Hunt as well in different places. It's got a couple of things to do. There's no count up the top that shows how many depth charges you have left for any particular side. It's a timed game, so you don't die. You just get frozen for a little bit and lose time.
Cool.
But I'm not allowed to write the third game because I've got to finish Sydney Hunter and the Caverns of Death for the Nintendo. I've got to finish writing that. So otherwise, my friends over in the US will probably beat me up.
If they can get there, we'll get to you.
Yeah, well, they need very long sticks at the moment. It's okay. The game's almost finished. It's just up to the fixing the bugs. It's functionality complete. It's just a big game, and I find the Nintendo annoying to program.
By the way, Tony, I wanted to say earlier that very nice retro gamer collection you got there in the back shelf.
Oh, yes, I've been collecting them for a while. And I've actually run out of room on that shelf. I've got to take some stuff off. So, yeah.
So with a program written for an MSX computer, will that run on any brand of MSX computer?
Yes, it will. Yes, as long as there was some of the stuff from the UK. They didn't read the instructions properly about detecting memory banks, about where the next bank is. You're actually you're supposed to use the MSX BIOS to ask where the memory banks are. So there's some tape programs in the UK will only work on certain models because they assumed the memory banks was in the same spot as the model they had.
All right.
But other than that, all MSX software works on every single machine, and MSX2s will load MSX1 software. And
not the other way around.
No, you can. Somebody's actually working on a cartridge to enhance an MSX1 up to an MSX2.
Oh, okay.
And the Spectre Video 738 was actually pretty much an MSX2, had the MSX2 video processor and some components missing. And with a bit of soldering and adding the components, you can add a real-time clock and change the BIOS and turn that into an MSX too.
Yeah, I've only got the lowly 318, Tony. So, and funny enough, my joystick's black, not red, which is real. So I think I got ripped off. But anyway,
Is your keyboard yours all white, or is it?
It's a grey. It's a brown chiclet keyboard. I love the chiclet keyboard. Let me tell you. So.
Oh yeah, no, that's the Mark II.
Oh, okay.
So yours would be single board.
Yeah.
Right? The Mark ones, of the 318 and 328 had a motherboard and a daughter board.
Yeah. So I wanted to retro bright it, but the keyboard connector is hot glued to the actual motherboard, so I can't actually disassemble the case to actually get it retro brighted. So I might just put it out on a hot day whenever Victoria gets a hot day to try to just retro bright it by sun.
Noel's Retro Lab over in the Europe.
I know Noel. Yeah, from Spain. Yeah.
Yes, he does a video where he shows how to put a proper keyboard connector inside.
Oh.
When he fixes a really dead 328.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, I'm going to stop the official proceedings here, but we're going to continue on as soon as I hit stop. Thank you.